Alright, hello everybody, Skyrim here, back again with another Diablo Immortal video. Still ongoing PC whatever issues and repairs and house repairs and all that unfortunate nastiness. Trying to keep positive here, but I'm about ready to kind of unload a little bit here as far as this stuff goes. The patch notes have finally come through on Global's end. We've already discussed most of this on the Chinese patch notes in a previous video. And of course, a lot of other people have already touched base on this as well. So I'm going to try to cut to the two biggest pain points that I feel are most upsetting as far as this goes and get your thoughts on this. I'll give my thoughts, of course. You can give your thoughts in the comments and start a keep a civil conversation in the comments, mind you. But nonetheless, I'm really not going to hold back and speak a little bit more off the cuff on these kind of things and how I feel about they've approached certain things. It's one of those either too little too late or it's, I don't know. We'll get there. We'll get there. Let's go ahead and get through this really quickly, though. I'm just going to give a synopsis here as best I can quickly on this. Eve of a making limited time event. Sign in certain days. Get paltry rewards. Moving on. That's it. Win to Fortune event. We know the current iteration of this has become and what it is, and a lot of us, of course, have gotten just over time even more disappointed about it, how it works. But let's just give a quick summary of it now if you do not know. 24-hour buff, real time, not in-game time, real time. So most way to get the most out of this and squeeze the blood from the stone, so to speak, out of this event is try to time it between reset time. So that way you can use it and get daily party gems twice. They will double. You will get 24 party gems in a day's time with this event buff active. I would suggest saving it when you have a lot of time to set aside to play the game, when you can make the most of it. The legendary drop rates are going to be doubled throughout this. That is also the other good thing about this one. But honestly, the normal gems, the double party drops, and the legendary drops is pretty much about it. Everything else is whatever. So try to make the most of it that way. That's the only suggestion I can give on that one, and then we're moving on. Battle.net shop is giving out free rewards now. And it says disappear on the 30th. Now, oh yeah, Black Friday deals. Well, those will disappear on the 30th. I think it's talked that they're going to do these like at the first of every month, but you know, it's going to be stuff like we've gotten, which is rare crests recently through the Battle.net shop, and a mystery item. Okay, so hey, free stuff is great. Get it while you can, obviously, whenever you can. But at the same time, I feel like this is a little too late in the game as far as like when they should have implemented this. This should have been introduced a lot sooner. Again, free stuff is great, and it's nice that we're getting it now, mind you. It's better than nothing, but again, I feel like it should have been done way sooner than this. All right, returning events. Survivor's Bane. Discussed this before. Make it a permanent staple. I feel like this needs to be a permanent staple in the game. And then that's I'm just going to say that and moving on because there's a lot more I want to go over. But it's coming back around, obviously, for the event center. So we're getting the usual fare of the cycling of events again. So yeah, Survivor's Bane, Alley of Blood, all clans on deck, Trial of Hordes, the same stuff we get over and over and over. The rewards need to be scaled, I think, for where we're at in the game. If we're at endgame Paragon, server Paragon, whatever you want to call it, I think our rewards for these events need to be scaled up drastically more than what they are at this point, because they are very, very paltry. Puff of smoke, basically, in what we're being given with these events anymore. New players, hey, they'll look at that like, oh, cool, but give them a couple days, a couple weeks, they'll be like, oh, yeah, that didn't last very long. So, yeah. All right, balance changes, we'll get back to that in a second. Vanguard, getting more stuff, more weapons that give the magic affixes, of course, which is going to muddy up the pool some more if you're trying to go for certain ones, but it's only through Vanguard, of which you get those raid boss effects that happen with only by proccing your ultimate ability, and has a chance of casting it. And we've seen these in practice in the game. honestly, they're kind of forgettable. And I have done Vanguard in a very long time, even though they did add like, oh, you can get set items from them now. Oh, it's like, oh, that's cool, but it's still not enough to get me to do them. This is just my take on this. I have almost next to zero interest in doing Vanguard. I'm sorry, but if you like it, hey, to each your own. It's cool if you do, but there's not really, honestly, any benefit in the fact that we have to use specific charms that are supposed to be good for that mode when you can out-heal the heal charm by using the Vithus set. The 6-piece Vithus set in there, you can easily out-heal those heal charms that were made specifically for the event. I found that kind of funny, and at that same time I was like, well, that pretty much kills the event for me, because it's not really a point. You don't use the charms anywhere else for that in there for those Vanguard charms. But anyway, all right. Anything else of value here? Some of this I don't think they needed to even mention. Normal gems from hidden layers. The number of normal gems while acquired can be viewed in the bonus interface while inside hidden layers. Well, that's great. We already had the sidebar for the activities while we're inside the hidden layers, showing that we know we get a gem per, we get 3 events per level in the hidden layer, which will end up with 6 gems, 3 bound, 3 unbound. That's how it's always been. But now it's saying, oh, we can view it in the bonus interface while we're in there. How about daily gem counter? Daily party gem counter. Yeah, I'd much rather prefer that over anything else at this point. I mean, granted, the hidden layers are weekly gems, but still, come on. Mourrneskull, we're going to talk about that here very shortly. All right, and just wrapping this up here with some PC optimizations, which were kind of odd. Bug fixes in the global notes is always laughable, so forget that. But yeah, additionally, the alt-click function can be used to open a player's profile directly from viewing them in the wilderness. I thought that was always the case. I've always used alt-click on a player to bring up their profile and, look at their gear if I wanted to that way. So I don't know why this is a new thing. Additionally, an option has been to have channeled skills follow your mouse cursor on PC has been added to the settings menu. I've always followed the mouse cursor on PC with my channeling skills in the past when I used to use forever ago now the beam crystal that would always follow the beam would always follow my mouse cursor. So to me, I don't know. I feel like it applies to other classes because I don't see how that's any different. Anyway, okay, Mourrneskull Legendary Gem. Let's get in. This is where things are gonna. I have mixed feelings on this. I have greatly mixed feelings, and I'm speaking completely off the cuff on these now. Let me know what you think about this and what your opinions and feelings are on this as well in the comments, and we'll, obviously carry on a discussion in the comments below, because I would greatly appreciate that as always, because that does help out with the algorithm for one on the videos, and also it's just nice to have conversations with everybody and, see where we're at on the wavelengths of things here. During this crossover event, many of you have used the Lich King's power to eviscerate your foes with icy prejudice by way of the Mourrneskull Legendary Gem. Utilize the Mourrneskull Legendary Gems you receive from Elder Rifts, shop bundles, or through crafting at the Apprentice Jeweler to upgrade your gem's rank as much as possible during the event. Yes, and you definitely need to do this. Why? Because after this event concludes, you will only be able to upgrade this legendary gem at an Apprentice Jeweler using telluric pearls. So they want to make you burn the telluric pearls that we get on a slow drip already, that we use to get duplicates for our 5-star gems. They want us to burn these now on this 2-star gem. Let that sink in. And it is also a very situational gem as well, mind you. It is only beneficial for certain builds in certain situations. Because of the soul drain effect on it, you have to be a little closer to your opponents to get the full benefit of the gem. If you're like in my case, support build distance, I'm not going to get that full effect, and it's not going to be as good for me. So yeah, take that for what you will. Telluric pearls are on a very slow IV drip to all of us in the game. Through events, yes, they didn't used to be, but and then through the hilt trader and whatever, the slow acquisition of them is very time gated, very, very, very slow. For them to make this, for them to implement the way they've gone about this, let's put this in perspective and see if anybody's on the same wavelength with me on this. You can agree or disagree. Hey, we all have that. You know, it's fine. I could care one way or the other. This is conversation, obviously. But considering the fact that they implemented this late in the game, into the game's lifespan of over 2.5 years, they decided to pull this kind of approach with a legendary gem they've never done before. They decided to do it now. That's what I have the biggest gripe and issue with. And then we were speculating how it was going to be, how we were going to acquire it after this event was over. Initially, we thought, okay, maybe they'll put it in the battle pass, and that's even a slow drip too. Fervent Fang, Grim Rhythm, or 2 Telluric Pearls is the option right now at the end of the battle pass whenever you get to that point of level 40 on it. And that's a slow drip. That's a slow drip. So yeah, now another time-gated element here with this, and you're basically... I consider it burning Telluric Pearls for this gem to be crafted as opposed to putting it towards whatever couple of 5-star gems that you may have you need duplicates for. That's what I usually would use the Telluric Pearls for, is getting the duplicates I need to upgrade the ones that I really, really, really want to focus on, like Roiling and Bloodsoaked Jade. You get the idea. So this, to me, feels like a waste. Other ones have said, oh no, it's fine depending on how much the cost of them is going to be. Well, the 5-star ones are 40 Telluric Pearls a pop. So this one being a 2-star, if they make it any more than 20, I feel like that's a definite waste. But either way, I still feel like it's a waste. I would much rather focus on my 5-star, those Roiling and Bloodsoaked Jades, and even Starfire. You get the idea on those. I would much rather focus my Telluric Pearls on that as opposed to this 2-star gem, honestly. So now that we see this in so many words verbatim here, if you really, really, really are, got your heart set on the Mourrneskull gem, craft as many as possible right now during this event. Gather up your Telluric fragments any way you can. Craft them up. Get them while you can. They're still going to be obviously on the market, but we know how that is too. And yeah, so I honestly say save your pearls and put it towards the 5 stars. But that's just me. That's just me. All right, that's the one biggest pain point. Let's move on to the second one here, which is the balance changes. Aha! Balance changes in quotations, and using that word very, very loosely. Here's what they are first. We'll go over this now in the English proper. Well, I don't want to say proper because I don't know how they translated the notes that they were given. At times we notice that sometimes verbatim these seem to be kind of funky on the global notes because they get the notes from NetEase and then they're like, oh, okay, well, we'll translate it. And then I think they just do a Google Translate too. Anyway, and here's Barbarian. You can see the stuff on the screen. I'm not going to read them. We got the idea. I'm just going to put these here for you guys to pause and read. See your classes here, which there are only 4. They're decided, or 5. 5 classes they decided to go with. Out of the 8, they decided to make certain these changes and implement what they're calling a new mechanic, which is Backlash. Question was posed in Discord, and then I immediately had my thoughts on this, and I'm going to put them here. We are introducing a new Backlash mechanic with this round of balance changes. Their balance changes are also a slow drip. Whenever they get around to doing any form of balancing that needs to happen, Most times, mind you. Now, when we get the shadow nerfs, that's a whole nother story. The shadow nerfs happen sometimes pretty quick, within a matter of days or weeks. These other ones, however, that they implement seem to go months on end before we get actual proper balance changes to happen again. But I digress on that. We are introducing a new Backlash mechanic with this round of balance changes. It puts your targets in a state where using their skills, of which we have a meager 4 skills, or if you count our ultimate 5, but we have a meager 4 skills on this mobile game to use. Increases their skill, puts your targets in a state where using their skills increases the duration of the harmful effect you placed on them. So the Backlash mechanic, the Backlash effect. Further punishing builds that rely on heavy spam usage of skills. Well, there's certain things to mitigate that, of course. We have, Undying Barb ability, shield stacking, Satyr bubbles, all the immunity puddles from Tempest, that kind of thing. All those things, just to take that in consideration, how these are the forms of mitigating things and mitigating this effect. So it might... hopefully it won't be that much of an ordeal. Hopefully it will still be kind of a little bit of a, jabby, annoying flying gnats in your face kind of effect. Because if it goes a little too overboard, then it's like, well, you kind of mess things up, and we'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see. But I don't know. It's funny that they decide to go this route now, after over 2.5 years of the game's life now, to make these kind of changes. It's very interesting. Granted, it's certain things need a fresh and a much needed shakeup, but I don't know. I feel like, I don't know, some of this feels kind of sort of slap in the face, because it's like, well, we only have 4 skills to use, and we have to, already factor in cooldowns. Yeah, granted, some classes spam more than others, but I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see at the end of the day here when it goes live, and then we'll really give our thoughts on this. But I really wish they'd sit down and actually talk with the player base a little bit more directly when it comes to these things, because it just feels like they pull data and nothing more. They don't play test their own. They don't play their own game. They don't play the end game content as much as they should, or at all, to properly make these kind of decisions and engage better with the community at large. But anyway. Oh boy. Okay, so opponents can choose to fight through the pain of the backlash effects, which is, like I said, the shield stacking and other forms of mitigation, or disengage to come back at full strength after the effect is expired. Well, we know how that goes too. We get that with dots already in general. That's always been the case. So this is just another one. And these are affixes. These are affixes, so that means they're going to muddy the magic affix pool even further. So if you really got your heart set on these and you really want to farm them up, you're going to have to farm that much harder now, because there is this much more being introduced into that pool of affixes to go and hunt for. So keep that in mind, and that's why I feel like this is, we need a magic reforge system in place now. I'm just going to say that once, and then that should be enough. That needs to be said on that. I might bring it up again later in another video, but honestly, we need a magic reforge system yesterday. While this is the beginning of a new approach to tuning, we will still adjust effects as needed, which is why there's also a few nerfs to some overperforming classes in the list below, of which we've already discussed and shown. The goal is to make nerfs less severe by increasing the power of other classes. The combined approach of reinvigorating old legendary affixes alongside a softer touch on nerfs will result in new combat experiences and more interesting choices, without it feeling as punishing as having the power of your skills heavily reduced. I'm sorry, but they've done that before in the past. They've tried to say they were going to stop nerfing. They still do. It still will happen when they say as needed, of course. Diablo 4 is a huge proponent of that. We saw that, and that was the creation of Campfire Chat that they introduced to the internet And everybody, because they had to come out with sad face and say, "Oh, we're sorry. We didn't mean to nerf everything into the ground." The first, when it happened the first time for Diablo 4, really hard, where a lot of people quit, including myself, only because of how they handled it. Only because of how they handled things. They handled things very, 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 very poorly. And they said, "Well, we didn't mean to nerf everything. We meant to put some other stuff in there, but we just didn't get it done in time, or we didn't get around to it, or blah, 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 blah." Whatever the excuse was, it was handled poorly. It's like, well, if you didn't have that stuff ready, you should have waited. You should have waited. But they didn't. They chose to go through it anyway, and rightfully so, they had to come out publicly and apologize. But even then, at that point, the damage was done. You get the idea. It's unfortunate, and it shouldn't have to be that way. It should never be that way, honestly. That's what happens when you don't talk to the community on a more, consistent basis and actually listen. Like, we don't need any more of these. People are actually asking for fixes to lag more so than ever now, and I see it even more myself, as we all have. And yeah, that's all I'm going to say on that one more time. Fix the lag. We can take a pass on some content updates for a time or two, but at this point, I don't think they can, and I don't think they will. They're incapable. I'm calling them out. I'm calling them out. You're incapable of fixing lag. Prove me and all of us wrong. Okay? That guy sitting at the table. Prove me wrong. Change my mind. Yeah, that meme. Prove us wrong about the lag and actually fix it. 4 months ago, community manager made the post saying, "Oh, hey, yeah, what are you guys experiencing lag so we can fix this?" A PR post. That's all that was. It's just a PR post to kind of, appease the player base, but more so, still a lie. Okay? Fix the lag. All right. I feel better getting out. Let me know how you feel about that in the comments down below. Of course, with all of this here, I don't know. This is an interesting choice, like I said, considering how long the game's been out for, and they decided to put this in now. Yeah, a shakeup needed to happen. Multiple shakeups need to happen as far as this goes, and player balancing, player distribution, matchmaking, all that kind of stuff. There's so many variables that the system algorithm can't obviously handle and keep up. There's just too many variables. That's just the long and short of it. But something needed to change, and this is what they wanted to go with. We'll have to see how this goes. I'm starting to get the impressions of, oh, hey, just give everybody, like, the old Diablo 2 stuff. Iron Maiden and Decrepify with the Necromancer curses and whatever that thing. And just start applying that to everybody, and then see where we all stand at the end of the day when all the dust settles. But anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. I've rambled long enough here at the end of this, but these are the two biggest ones that I had the issue with the most: the balance change, Backlash, and the Mourrneskull gem being crafted only during this event, being a time-gated thing, a time-limited thing. Yeah, I don't know. I think some of these were kind of in poor taste, and they should have been done differently. Again, in mobile games, there's far too much time-gated stuff, time-gated nonsense, especially and this is an ARPG, which is grind, RNG, RNG, RNG. It's what it's all about. It's what it's always been about, unfortunately, and this is just too much. That's too much, I think. But anyway, until next time, everybody, stay safe out there in the real world, and far as always, take care of yourselves as best you can, one day at a time. It's all we can do. I know that more now than ever. But until next time, see ya.